Hiya! It is I, Nathan. Recovery month. All month, September. Been a busy one. It was a busy one this weekend. You know the drill. As we tick along, it is day 24 of recovery month. Every single day I've been buying back a year. So every day represents a year that I used substances and or drank in. This day is 2014. The last Sunday, I whittled on yesterday about it being the last Saturday. It won't be the last Saturday that I do this. This coming Saturday will be the last Saturday. But today is the last Sunday you will get to speak to me. Black Sabbath. We'll call it Black Sabbath. Brilliant band. Can't disagree with that. It's a brilliant band. 2014. What happened? It's all relatively recent now, isn't it? Has it lost some of its charm? Well, if it has, tough. Right, what have we got? Bob Hoskins passed away. Hello, Bob. I like Bob. He was in some great films. Crying Game. Was never a fan of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I always found it a bit depressing for some reason. Still do now. When I see it, I feel a bit low. Some negative connotation there. Maybe one day a psychologist will have a scrabble around in there and realise what's going on. I don't think I ever will. Kim and Kanye West got married. Understated. Have a look at the pictures. You get a spare moment of your time tonight. You're bored. You're thinking, oh, the week's just about to kick off. Have a look at Kim and Kanye's wedding. Refresh the memory. Now there were floods. If you remember rightly, in 2014, right at the beginning of the year, there were floods in the West Country. Whole swathes of land were being consumed by water, or as the Germans call it, Wasser. It was a pain in the bum, quite frankly. More interestingly, the floods, there was an Oxfordshire councillor who represented UKIP. You can probably guess, not a fan. Who represented UKIP, and he blamed the floods on the government's decision to legalise same-sex marriage. He said it was God's way of saying that was the wrong thing to do. I would remind you that people have voted for UKIP. So no more about it. We've created a society where people felt that voting for them was a good idea or the right thing to do. Make your own judgments and summaries for yourself. The economy. So we was told in 2000 the economy's coming back. Did anyone actually notice a difference? I'll start asking yourself some really fundamental questions. Did anyone actually notice a difference in their life? It's almost like they create these images. Almost they decide it's going to go wrong, and they decide it's going to get better. Again, my opinion that it's all smoke and mirrors with a little bit of personal experience and evidence to back that theory up. Not that you care. Prince Harry founded the Invictus Games. I mentioned that because it's all over the TV at the moment. It founded in 2014. Seems to be going very well, and his efforts to be applauded. There you go. I think they are. And that was it. And then we had the 2014 World Cup that Germany won. Brazil embarrassed themselves. Germany again, they didn't talk about themselves and they come through and won it, you know. Everyone else says, oh no, Germany aren't in this year. And they go, oh, they've won it again, have they? Unbelievable. Well, England are writing a song and banging the drum and we're going to do it this year. We got knocked out of the group stages. Not like, I don't like football. Throw it over there. So, I would go on. I know you're always desperate to find out what's gone on. And it's been it's been very hectic this weekend. It's been a family one. It's been mum, dad, and everyone in betwixt and between, and it's been lovely. It's been very hectic. Life's a bit busy at the moment. I'll say no more about it at that point because I want to bring up a subject today. Now, anyone who knows me personally, not via this strange arrangement, will know that I do not give advice. If I do give advice, it's bloody rare. because I think it is a brave man who, with a shaking finger, points in any direction. But occasionally I do, and I like to be sure that I'm coming from at least some place of experience or knowledge. So the subject we're going to be breaching today is stress. It's a massive one for me, and yes, I did work in a stressful job, and everything's relative. Some would argue that it was very stressful. I suffered from the illusion, and this goes out to anyone who's in a stressful situation. I suffered with the illusion that if I stopped doing what I was doing, if I for 1 second stopped controlling people, events and situations, if I for 1 second stopped being available at work 24 hours a day, if I didn't answer every single phone call, if I didn't attend to every single email, if I did not work as many hours as I possibly could, if I did not have that car, that house, if I did not perceive to be acting in a certain way, doing a certain thing, if I did not operate on 2 phones at all times, if I didn't run myself into the ground 24 hours a day, if I stopped doing any of that, then the world would end. My life would be a disaster, and everyone around me would feel let down and would be disappointed in me. And it would all go horribly wrong. That was what I was convinced of. I smashed myself into the ground on that belief, like swimming in the rapids upstream, whilst being convinced that I was enjoying it while choking, swimming and maniacally laughing at the same time. It's great, I really wanted this. I can tell you now, because I've got out, I'm standing on the shore, that if you stop doing all those things, the world will not end. People will not think less of you. Your life will not be miserable or unmanageable. The front of the house won't fall off. People won't stop talking to you. And the sun will not end its last fiery burst and fall into a black void. None of that stuff will happen. None of that stuff will happen. It won't happen. So stop. That is advice direct. Stop doing it. You will not on your deathbed look up with a final breath and think, I wish I'd have spent one more day in the office. I wish I'd have sent that last email. You will not think that. You will look up and think, I was worried about nothing. Nothing. What a load of old tosh. Will be it. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. That is direct advice. That all came about because I have had a history of being stressed and suffering from that, and I can see other people doing it, and it is nonsense, because we live in this society that does not allow you to relax. You are bombarded with colour, you are bombarded with adverts, you are bombarded with music, you are bombarded with this bank account, that bank account, this overdraft, that car, this house, that bungalow, this club, that restaurant, log on to this, do this, have this product, that dress, those trainers. It's all nonsense. Bombarded non-stop. As human beings, we're not made for it. And this is why we are building, or have built, a breeding ground for our illness. It's fertile ground. Anyone wondered why people can't cope with the amount of phone calls coming in for people that are addicted to stuff? Because we are building the most fertile ground known to man, or ever known to man, for this illness to just run riot. So please do stop doing that if you are doing it. I can tell you now that I do none of those things anymore, and I'm alive. I'm still here, barely, but I'm alive. I'm still here. So that's me. There you go. So I've walked that road. So what else has been happening? Well, we've had going onto a lighter note. Now I've said my piece. Going onto a lighter note, you know I have a disobedient me and the other half, my rock, my queen, have a disobedient hamster, a fat teenage hamster, and she's. Well, there was a rustling last night. Next to her cage is a gathering, a milieu, a plethora of snacks, and sort of against her cage. I don't know. We could hear some rustling in there. I walked over to the area next to her cage and talk about this hamster has found the land of milk and honey. She's in amongst the food, sitting on a neck tree with a little pot belly, with a what's in her hand. She wasn't doing that in my mind. That's what has happened. She's worked out how to climb up the side of the cage and get out. It's like we should have named her Houdini. I was absolutely gobsmacked. There she is. That was all very exciting. Popped her back in. But my parents. Oh, by the way, before I go any further, the reason that stress thing came up was because I forgot to say the call that came from. Do you remember the lovely lady with the pie? Breffney, who was my counsellor in the cottage, the imaginary cottage. She said to me, Nathan, make sure you're not doing, you're not overexerting yourself. Take time to chill. And she knows me very, very well. Needless to say, that's where that all came from. But yeah, the folks came round. My dad was a bit late with his prediction because he did. he banged on. He banged on about the pizza again. He refuses to accept that 3 matzo balls is possible on one pizza. I'm just thinking, 3 matzo they are. But he banged on about that again. He's tried to get him into anchovies. It's not happening. I'm from, if you remember Michelangelo at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he didn't like anchovies on his pizza, nor did I. But it was a day late. The reason I say it is we did the prediction thing, didn't we? It's in that drawer. Well, I'm never going to lead him again. But he went on. He tried to get him, but he's a day late in the prediction, so they don't count. Anyway, Oates has already instilled in his, and Captain Oates has already instilled the glory of medieval banqueting. Actually, Oates said, if we're talking about just sheer joy right now, this is recovery for you. I'll let you go in a minute. I'm just going to try and find this text from Oates. This is the one he sent me this morning. Okay. Worth. Good morning, mates. How you diddling? And it's another lovely morning, and it's great to be alive and present for all our loved ones. Yes, my granddad's okay. I've just given him a shave, and he's smiling. And then we're off out for a bite to eat. What are you up today? What are you up to today, mate? That's recovery. Now, if someone would have sent that to me in the mix of the madness, I'd have probably vomited all over the phone. For what, God Almighty, no one can be that happy. That's not contrived. That's real. That's how he feels, and that's the sort of text I get through. You know, that's why I'm banging on about this, and hoping, you know, and occasionally giving a bit of advice like I just did. Please don't get stressed. It's not worth it. It's nothing to be stressed about. And I did bang on about the brevity of life and death, as you knew I would do again eventually. So we've gone for medieval banqueting this evening. Tonight is nice, and now I've done my hectic weekend thing. Everybody's happy. Everyone feels loved. That's a little bit, but I did it all very calmly, with only little peaks of stress every now and again, which I now have got the tools in place to deal with. I would suggest you get your toolkit ready, or start building up if you haven't already done so. I will, before I swan off into a scented bath with the sound of Krishna's flute, I will give you a piece of wisdom from someone else, Bruce Lee. Yes, Bruce Lee. And he stated, I think it's an ancient saying, but Bruce did say it in Enter the Dragon, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, when pointing at the sun, do not concentrate on the finger, or you'll miss all of heaven's glory. I will leave you with that, and I'll speak to you tomorrow after I finish off with a crew. See you around. Peace and love.